Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to another episode of To Be Continued. It's your boy C Ham, and you can't spell champion without it. Alongside my ace.
Yeah. It's Devil Trigger. You know, I claim the victory like Nike. And companions, they wouldn't let me have two like Poison Ivy. That's why I was laughing earlier. Because I was like, should I say that?
Absolutely.
But yeah.
For those that listen, they'll understand.
Yep.
Breaking the fourth wall as usual. But yes, we have an amazing guest on this episode. We're extremely excited to finally get a chance to release this for everyone. You know, before we do that, I should say, I want to say shout out to everybody out there, especially my black people, because as we're recording this, it's currently Juneteenth. So,
yes,
shout out to everybody. Stand up. I've been so amazed and proud of how everybody's been unifying and speaking up for themselves, and it's just been a beautiful thing to see. So, continue bringing that same energy, continue living on like how we've been doing, and keep staying strong on these folks.
If you listened to us before, you already know how Devil Trigger giving it up in these times. Piracy.
Yeah, but we have an amazing guest, Julian Elijah Martinez. You may have seen that name on the amazing WU-Tang series on Hulu.
He played Divine.
Yeah, he played Divine and did an amazing job. And I'm not just saying that because we had a chance to chat with him, but like well before we had this opportunity, I was just like, yo, out of all the dynamics of this show, like that was one that I had zero information about. So the portrayal of that was extremely important to, I feel like, my liking of the show. I don't know about you.
Yeah, let me know on a deeper insight. You know, he was a really good actor. He portrayed that really well. I liked it. He was like a 5-star actor. I thought he was some wild, Emmy nominated cat. You know what
honestly, like I had no idea that like this was one of his first like truly pivotal roles, and and you could have fucking fooled me.
You could see the work. You could see how like even though like the statue is not yet still complete, it's still masoned itself out to be still chiseling itself out, still working on itself. But you can see where the work has been put in. Like, yo,
I agree.
Like, nah, you playing. You did this. You was on Titanic and them. I then realized in a side pocket subdimension that he played a fourth extra messenger that delivered the Book of the Dead from Imhotep in Wakanda 2, revealing Black Panther. Avengers all assembled in black suits. I didn't put enough respect on his name. I'm sorry, because I was going to say he was on Titanic. But what he looked like in these times with all the black power sinking in some goddamn water. No, I'm just playing.
Outside of being an amazing black actor, he's an activist. He's also a BLERD for show, because he was right down with everything that we were talking about as per usual. So the conversation was amazing, and I feel like you guys will thoroughly enjoy what we talked about.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so without further ado, man, we ain't gonna yap y'all heads off no more. Let's get it. See someone? Accept.
Hey, y'all.
Hey. That was on accident, but that was great.
Look at the beard, though.
Say it again?
I said, look at the beard.
Look at the Kuta Kente happening right
I
now.
was going to let you get away with that.
I'm at my girlfriend's house and she doesn't have a comb, so I apologize. State of mind. My apologies for being a little late. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great, man. Thanks for being a part. We appreciate you.
Of course.
Personally, it's amazing to get a chance to talk to you because I love the WU-Tang series on Hulu. Binged it.
Oh, beautiful. Thanks, man. Thanks for watching.
So, me personally, it was my introduction to you as an actor, and it forced me to go back and look at stuff you were in prior to that. So,
okay.
Once again, thank you for being on with us. I love it because I did find some funny little tidbits. So
I know the problem with film is shit don't go away.
That's true. Especially in today's era, once it's on the internet, it's forever.
It's forever. I know.
Well, I think we should just go down the line, kind of introducing ourselves to you so you get an idea of who we are before we kind of go into it, and then, get to that afterwards.
All right, cool.
I'm also.
What's up, man?
What's up?
Well, I'm Devil Trigger. The one and only. Big fan, bro. Big fan.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And of course,
You know me.
I know you.
You know
Unfortunately.
and I'm Christian. I'm gonna moderate the majority of everything.
Okay.
We started Push Start Media. Just to give you a little bit about ourselves, we started Push Start Media just at the beginning of this year in January. But
Okay.
prior to that, we were a part of another network, and we started to learn about podcasting through them, and
Okay.
that kind of blossomed into us being able to start our own thing. So
Beautiful.
that's kind of the point that we're at right now. We're just building as many connections as we possibly can with
Filling the stream out.
Yeah, exactly. Filling it out, seeing what we're trying to do, what direction we want to go, and
Great.
just really getting the idea of who we are as podcasters.
Taking
Great.
advantage of our talents and we can't rest on our laurels, especially in this type of time too.
Yeah.
And I'm extremely grateful, low key, for the pandemic. The opportunity has been given us to work a little bit more on our craft, because before that, I'm sure we can all attest to having to work 40-hour work weeks and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I ain't working for the man this week.
shout out to my boy. Shout out to my boy. He was considered an essential worker, so he's actually still. So
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your sacrifice, bro.
for sure. Yeah, but like I said, once again, we really, really appreciate you just being a part of what we're doing right now, especially building from the ground up. So
Yeah, it's a super honor, because as soon as she had suggested it, I was like, Wu-Tang. Wait, what? I love the music personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it beforehand, but I watched it recently. So then I got the feeling of like it brought back that actual energy of like when I used to listen to like Wu-Tang forever. You know what I'm saying? 36 Living Swords and stuff like that made me think about the realist. Made me even think about why we even started this.
Yeah, of course.
Your character, bro, you play that to a T.
Oh, thank you.
I respect Divine on some real.
I appreciate that. It's funny too. It's funny because like I had a lot of nerves associated with trying to portray Divine. You know what I mean? Because he's a real person, and I didn't want to like fuck it up, and and then
He's like, yo, what's up?
like yo, I got they're going to everybody be like, yo, my dude is doing a great job. My dude is doing a great job, and then Vine come in and be like, yo, this light skinned nigga is like, yo. But I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No, man, with respect, because it was just like the way you like got into the role where you had to be like not only the protector, the caretaker, the one to make decisions, and then like transition from you going into that experience of like real life jail, how they can divide the black man from like their actual manhood, their energy, in a certain sense of just like on a earth real spiritual level. Like now you feel disconnected. But like, just it was crazy. You was good. I was like,
thank you. Thank you.
So I want to start a little bit before that. Something I saw that was interesting to me personally, because I'm a big fan of monologues. And I saw a monologue you had done on YouTube from Sibling.
Yeah.
And I noticed you had said that was the first thing you got paid for as an
actor. No. So that monologue, that's actually my aunt. So my aunt had this she had this idea of doing the Tiny Desk concert that NPR does.
Yep.
So my aunt, a woman named Sadia Mitchell, who does a lot of documentary work for the WNBA, and right now before the pandemic was happening, she was out in Brazil documenting the Olympic women's team. Nice. She had this idea of trying to get actors together and doing like kind of a Tiny Desk but with acting. And so we got a bunch of my classmates from Yale to kind of like do these monologues in my kitchen at the time up in New Haven. So that's where all that was coming. But no, she ain't paying me. She ain't paying me shit.
That's crazy.
I must say, you sure can't tell us the kitchen. Y'all dressed it up real nice.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I thought
it was very interesting because like just monologues in general, I think have been something that's important to me that I didn't realize until I got older, because I love wrestling. So like,
yeah.
Just watching interviews from wrestling, that's kind of a monologue in itself.
Yeah.
So I kind of
Yeah,
got brainwashed into loving that as a kid and didn't realize I liked it until I came up. Yeah, just listen to Macho Man talk about the cream rising to the top, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and any of those, it just wired me to be interested in stuff like that, and I didn't even realize it until I became an adult.
Yeah. Bet.
Yeah, speaking of which, what inspired you? Like, what was your muse to like first come to acting? You know?
Well, it's funny because it was so it actually was one of my high school teachers. So I think we've all had the experience of like high school. For especially for people of color, it can be very difficult.
Sure.
And I was a fuck up. Like I was cussing out teachers. I was getting suspended once a year. Like it was.
It's resonating.
It's resonating a little bit. But it was actually my theater teacher who kind of became my advocate. So it's funny because like I'd done a little bit of drama when I was living in San Francisco, and when I went to high school, I was looking for something to do, like some sort of extracurricular activity. Right. And so they were auditioning for a play. This play called what was it called? Like Inherit the Wind or some shit. And I auditioned for the play, but then I didn't go back to look at the call sheet. Right? I just was like, I don't know why I didn't go back to look at the call, because I was being lazy and I was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna whatever. And so months would go by, right? And after like 4 or 5 months, I get a call from the principal's office. The principal's office is like, Julian Elijah Martinez, can you please come? And I know when someone's calling me Julian, I done fucked up. So I was like, I go down to the principal's office, and principal's like, hey, you need to go down to the theater room. The teacher needs to speak to you. So I go down to the theater room, and the teacher says like, oh, you're Julian? We cast you in the play. You should have been here for the last 3 months. So I thought I was in super trouble. So I burst into tears and ran out the room. And actually, this woman, Sally Livingston, came and found me. And she talked me down, and she was like, listen, calm, don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. She introduced me to my best friend, who's my best friend to this day, and ended up having one of the best kind of experiences of my high school life. And so that was kind of my hook in terms of becoming an actor, was her. And
I feel that.
Yeah, and she became my advocate, and she got me out of trouble. She was there when I got arrested. She, you know what I mean. And she passed recently, and so like what I would say, the person who made me become an actor was her. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. You never know the people that are like having an eye on you. Like my mom used to always say that, like, watch out. You never know who's watching you. Somebody might get an influence from what you're saying or what you're doing. So be mindful.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
It seems like that kind of situation resonated with her, and she saw something in you before you even knew what you had.
Yeah. And I always appreciate that. And like, and that has been a big thing about my life, is there's always been somebody who's kind of like shepherded me somewhere, who's kind of, brought me in the right kind of on the right path, who's like, pulled me from going in the opposite direction. And so I'm very, very privileged and fortunate to have those kind of people in my life.
Nice. I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Where were you when you found out you were going to get the role for the Wu-Tang series?
So I was doing a show called Network, which was on Broadway at the time. And I found out when I was going home. So I had decided to ride my bike from Midtown Manhattan to Brooklyn.
Why?
No,
I need to ask why.
Only y'all would know that.
And that's the thing. And after a show, right, I started writing, and I was like, and it was cold, and I was like, I got maybe 5 minutes. I was like, this is real fucking stupid. And as I was writing, I got a phone call from my agent at the time. My agent was like, my agent said, hey, it was kind of crazy. Like, we were in negotiations trying to figure out like whether or not I can do this. I was doing the show at the time. It was a big kind of mess. And when my agent told me, he's like, oh, you got the role, I pulled over into this hotel lobby, right, like in the middle of Midtown Manhattan, and started just crying. I had called my mom. Crying is a thing for me. I guess.
It's fine. It's cool, man. It's understandable. Sometimes when it's white, you get like
It's
that.
like that. It's like,
You look
oh,
into
my
the hotel
mom.
lobby, you're crying in the subway, so.
Yeah, exactly. But I very quickly I realized like I got on the subway because I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm gonna be able to make it to Brooklyn with tears in my eyes."
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So I read a little bit about you saying that you were a BLERD.
Yes, it was. Well, yes, I am. It was.
What are some of the extracurricular things you're into? Besides acting and drama. Are you into anime or video games or anything like that?
Oh, dude, it's a problem.
Oh yeah,
It's a problem. I got my Switch, which is in the other room. I started my first Dungeons and Dragons campaign with a homie of mine for the first time. My character is a dragonborn named Aubrey Drake.
What about Skyrim? Clear everything. What you know about Skyrim?
I play the shit out of Skyrim, my man.
What of us? You gotta be on the one day. You gotta be on the push start one to talk about video games and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. If it's got lasers and swords, I know something about it.
I love it.
Yeah, there you go. Who your favorite hero? Superhero, DC or Marvel or anyone?
Well, I'm reading the Dawn of Us, House of X, and so I've always been a big X-Men head. You know what I mean? And so in that book has got me back into those. So I'm reading that, and I'm reading The Immortal Hulk.
Yeah, yo, that's so good, man.
That shit is so good.
Have you read The Dark Knight's Metal?
Nah, I can't, man. I can't. It's way too like the Batman who laughs and the weird robbing people. Nah, see, that's where we're showing our age difference. Because I'm looking at
the best thing ever.
I'm looking at this crazy dude with like whips and chains. I'm like, nah, man. I went through that Spawn phase already. I don't need to go through it again.
Maybe when I get a little older, I'll probably be like, you know what? Maybe not so much whips. I got you.
See, me, I'm kind of biased because I just love Batman. So anything connected to Batman, I'm gonna be on it.
Yeah.
And I was out of the comic book world for so long until I saw that, and that kind of like piqued my interest to get back into reading.
Yeah.
It's kind of brought me to it.
The Batman of Laughs is a crazy. He's a crazy villain.
I like it because of the metal aspect of it. Like as far as like, I like how they intercross-twine the continuity all around, made it make sense. Like that the aesthetic was like a style of music that I like to listen to.
Right.
Like, cause even me being a person of color, I enjoy metal music. I enjoy rock. I enjoy all types of K-pop, all types of stuff. So to see like a different style of influence in something like that, how intricate and the level of, I always like imagine like I love Batman. Batman, one of my favorite superheroes, like Constantine, like anti-heroes. So it's just like to see like a Batman in like all versions twisted and all the other like just the imagination part of it,
Yeah. Well, and also like, his villains are all kind of, they all target something that's weakness in him, and so to take his literal personality flaws and then create those into villains, which is essentially what the Dark Knights are, is really, really interesting. I think,
Definitely.
I just get disturbed easy.
I get it, because everybody's art taste and aesthetics is different. We all share the aesthetic in a same wavelength. You know what I'm saying? We hear then we might like this or we might like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This.
Right. Yeah.
Can you let us in a little bit on like what it's like to work with Bryan Cranston?
Man, Bryan Cranston. So people say Bryan Cranston's a prince, and he really is. Like, he's one of the kindest, most caring people. You know what I mean? That you kind of will work with. He's insane in terms of his work ethic. And I think that's a big key. With the big lesson I got from him is like, we often throw out this idea of talent, right? And I think talent is a myth. I think talent is something that we put on somebody after the fact, after they've put in the work.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
and so when you watch, I mean, I think what we all have is we have an inherent passions that we are gravitate towards, whether or not that be music or art or acting or coding or writing or any number of things. We all have inherent passions that we have. But in order to actually have something, in order to be good at something, or in order to be talented at something, we have to put in the work. And that's what I saw from Bryan Cranston. As someone who, no matter how he felt, whether he was sick or any of that kind of stuff, he always gave 110%. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was always focused and engaged. He never got distracted. But he also was there. He was personable. He wasn't an asshole. He was a leader. You know what I'm saying? Like, he led by example. You know what I mean? So
that's the kind of person he strikes me as. Just even like the characters he always portrays. He always has that kind of presence where you just gotta, if he's saying something or he's in the room, you gotta like see what's going on with him.
Yeah, exactly. And some of that's just because he's old.
Yeah.
Some of that's just like old man or woman wisdom. You know what I mean? But some of that's also like I think he cultivated something around himself where he's like, I'm just gonna be kind to people. And when you're kind to people, it'll take you a long way, I think.
Nice.
Okay, I got a quick question, or I got like maybe. Okay, so see, they already know I'm on some bullshit. So, y'all filmed season 2 yet?
Hell no, bro.
Oh, I'm about to say. Let me know what it is. Tell me. I need to know what happened. Because y'all just left off, and I need to know, so we can just black out the rest. You know what I'm saying? Put some nice background music, and then we come back.
But the season 2 is announced. There's definitely a season 2 coming. But we got hit in the middle of the pandemic, and usually when we usually film around this time of the year, and the pandemic hit, and so we couldn't really do it. So right now, we're just in the process of trying to figure out like what the next step is, like everybody else is. But man, hell yeah, I wish we filmed that damn season.
Yeah. Just send me the text message or something, like let me get the prototype, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up, though. Like, could you speak a little bit about how this is affecting your job? This pandemic, something that's never really that we've seen in our generation.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is slowing down a lot of progress you're trying to get.
Yeah, I think one, let me just say, like, I'm fortunate in the sense of, like, I'm privileged and fortunate in the sense of, like, one, I'm not sick. Mm-hmm. And two, I'm not struggling in terms of food, so, like, that in and of itself is a blessing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, we're looking at, New York City's looking at theater kind of being gone for the foreseeable future, and I was just looking online, and we've had 3 Broadway shows that just closed, and potentially more are going to close, And film is a little different because they're all in the process. Like, film producers are all in the process of trying to figure out what their next step is, and they don't rely on the things that theater relies on, which is an audience and close proximity, and it's almost damn near impossible to do socially distancing in theater. Where in film, you can kind of work your way around it. So film is in the process of trying to come back. But what I will say is that I'm learning how to audition for Nickelodeon because there's a lot of voice overwork.
That's cool. That's something I would My goal is like I always tell people this story. They think it's a joke, but I'm like dead serious. When I'm like old and like 50 years old and like Pushcart Media has become successful and some younger, more talented person is running it in my stead, and I'm just able to do my thing in the background
forever.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm just like, hey, do everything, and then I can just chill in the background and just like do voice acting for cartoons. Like, that's fine.
Hey, man. Hey man, people have like look at Mark Hamill. He's had an amazing career doing voice work.
Exactly. Like he's literally the voice of my childhood watching Batman the animated series. So it's like
exactly.
I heard I was speaking to a woman. She did a talk back with my school, I forget her name because I'm horrible with names. She's a producer and I should know her name. But she was kind of saying that like animation is gonna be the next big thing, and a lot of projects that were supposed to be live action might just go back to the animation.
Yeah. Well, the only thing, what we're looking at is the only real thing that can be produced right now is stuff that can socially distance, right? So animation, but there's also a big push of like Hollywood trying to figure out, so what is it, what are we stepping in, what we're going to look like? Well, we're probably not going to shoot on location very much anymore. So we might be looking at that kind of old studio system where we'll see a lot more, on set being built. We're looking at more kind of blue screen, green screen kind of stuff, we'll probably looking at more kind of big budget things rather than the medium budget or smaller budget things, because no one really wants to finance something that's medium or small without knowing that they're going to immediately get their money back, But what's a plus is like, what I mean, like the only people really making money is Amazon and Netflix right now, whether you're either streaming, you're either streaming your video games, or you're selling people shit on through delivery. And so for creatives, like like all of us, I think there's an opportunity there. You know what I mean? If we are creative, and we kind of think outside the box.
Especially if you look at the impact of what happened with, I don't know if you guys have been looking at it, but the release of the film Trolls.
Oh yeah,
right.
They were forced to release it in a streaming platform instead of in theaters because they had already syndicated everything to be released prior to the pandemic. Scooby-Doo did the exact same thing, and it worked incredibly for them. So that might be another model that they start to look at going forward as well.
Yeah. There's and the thing about there's a couple things about Trolls that allows it to kind of do that. It's a kids movie, so and if you got a 5-year-old, yeah, exactly, you got a 5-year-old,
you're good.
But so it's gonna be interesting when movies like Tenet come out, and we'll see what happens with those, which are more adult oriented, and we'll see how successful that might be. If for example a Marvel movie goes to the VOD model, that'll be the big shift. Yeah, that'll be the big shift.
Well, do you think Black Widow will be like that?
I have no idea.
I think they're just pushing a lot of those back right now just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
But eventually those studios are gonna need a revenue stream, and if they have content, they're gonna try to bring that content out, and so.
I think this whole thing will be over soon though, because they gonna release their fingers off our neck. I believe like it is a real incident, but it's something else to it. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as the way everybody going about it, how strange everything is, and how history seemed to repeat itself all the time.
Yeah,
so
I hear you.
When they decide they want to let us do whatever, then
yeah, most stuff.
I mean, and the good thing is, like, after tragedy, Renaissance always seems to follow. So there's going to be innovation. There's going to be art. So
right, exactly. And we are essential, and I know you are essential, brother, but like
you know essential because he does the actual work and he's an artist.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, so yeah, you're triple essential. I was about to say something. I was like, whenever I hear somebody's an essential, has an essential business, I always imagine that we're looking at them like that first wave in Castle Black. Like, or the Dothraki, that we're like, oh no, you're essential.
Oh man.
All right, that's gonna come back to home.
You brought up Marvel for a brief second, and I know you worked with Beth McGuire to help with your getting ready for your voice role for the Wu-Tang series. Can you talk a bit about how it was working with her?
Yeah, Beth has been my teacher for a long time. I knew her from Yale. And for those who don't know, Beth did the dialects for Black Panther. And so work with Beth, she really kind of tries to, she thinks of herself as a designer of dialects, and so that's the way she kind of approaches it. So what we did is, like, instead of trying to get a generic kind of Staten Island dialect going, like, we really try to, like, we listened to a lot of how Divine spoke, a lot of how RZA spoke, because they're in the same family, and then we try to craft something that also deals with my own vocal placement, so I don't sound like I'm kind of coming out of left field in terms of my own vocal quality, but something that I can naturally kind of do. So we looked at the way sounds shift. We look at how I hold my mouth, and what's really interesting is like when you work that way, it kind of creates almost like a mask in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's because now I'm holding my mouth in a certain kind of way, which makes my body move differently than the way my body would move normally, and so which then creates a different kind of mental pattern and different way of thinking. Yeah.
And helps create character too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you're a person that's super tense in the jaw, like that character super tense in the jaw, that just affects everything.
Right, exactly. Or the way the character speaks. So, you know what I mean? If the character speaks in a certain kind of rhythmic pattern, there's a reason why he or she is speaking in that rhythmic pattern. You know, he, she, or they are speaking in that rhythmic pattern. And so, like, when you nail that about them, then you can really kind of figure out certain aspects of that character. You know?
That's like some next level of method acting. Like hyper. I'm serious. Like, you can figure out how just
like that.
I don't know. That's crazy.
No.
Well, I was so fucking nervous about fucking it up that's
Story gonna have to learn from a master. Go ahead. No,
I imagine the Wu-Tang documentary probably helped a lot because I looked and there's not a lot of footage on how he spoke and like him having interviews. There's not a lot.
No, yeah, and that's the big thing. And it's funny because I had been going off of, before the documentary, I had been going off this old BET thing that they, this old bootleg BET.
That's joking about all the time.
Yeah, that was what I've been going off for the longest. And we get to the doc, and Divine is actually, his voice has changed since he's gotten older. And we get a chance to watch the first episode of the doc, and we sit there and we're watching it, and TJ is losing his mind because like ODB's all up and through there, and Sadiq is like grinning like ear to ear because like, you know, fucking Ghostface is all up in that shit. And,
oh my god!
And we get to, and Divine is nowhere to be seen until the last, spoiler alert, 5 minutes, and he sits on the boat and he says, "Now it's time to tell my story," and then the thing goes to black, and you're just like, and I'm sitting there like, I'm like, what the fuck? And they're like, all right guys, thanks for watching. And that's like I didn't,
okay.
That's all I had to work with.
That's all I had to work with. So I didn't actually get the doc until I think like episode 4. I actually wasn't able to see the entire doc.
Yeah, I'm sure that was probably a godsend for you because I searched and searched and searched. And I was like, dang. I found that interview and maybe like another small snippet of him speaking somewhere else.
Yeah, there's an NPR thing that he did a while back, but Divine's one of those people who's he likes to be private.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, he likes to he's actually very counter to way Puffy P Diddy did it. Like he didn't want to be, you know, yeah, exactly. You know.
Also,
and even still, like some of the images of him in the music videos, that's because like, you know, the niggas forced him to do it. You know, he didn't necessarily want to be there, but they needed bodies. They wanted to look like bodies. So you'll see Divine kind of like doing his weird dance because he couldn't really dance. He says that, so let's not shade. He says
no.
It's from the source.
He approved you to act as him, so you can say that. You had the experience.
So when you see him doing that jerky dance in the back, that's because they made him do it, apparently.
Now I know you got the opportunity to be around, of course, the RZA. How was that?
Yeah. Yo, the OG, he's awesome.
I imagine him to be very humble.
Was you around all of them? Was they all there? Or
no, well, so RZA came a lot. Well, he was also a showrunner. So he up until a certain point, I think we got until he had to go back to LA to start editing and cutting it. I think about episode 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. So we lost a big chunk of him then. But I met Ghost and Raekwon at a club. Because it was somebody's birthday party, so everybody was at this club. And I met and then I met Capadonna. Capadonna came a lot.
I'm like, all right.
Which was cool. And Meth, I never met Meth because Meth only kind of hovered around Dave East when Dave East was shooting, and so Meth would come for Dave East's stuff. And those are the ones who I had the opportunity to meet.
How was it acting with Dave East? How was it like being around him?
Dave East is so cool. You want to talk about a humble dude? Dave East is so humble. You know what I mean? Like very cool. Him and Joey Badass. They're two like very just kind of like humble, cool, chilling kind of dude. I know D-Lo had a little crush on him. I don't know if she's still good.
You know, I think for Harlem.
Which I don't know if she told. I didn't know if she told y'all, but when me and D-Lo were working together, every time Coachella happened, we would play No Coachella for me in the boxing studio.
Did you tell him that?
I didn't. I should have told him.
Because we bumped it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they're mad. We did, but mad cool, mad chill dudes. You know what I mean? Very humble, very hardworking. You know, guys. You know, I know Davies had he had to shoot one time and drive all the way down to D.C. to do a concert. You know what I mean? Then come back to shoot. He would do shit like that all the time. Yeah, good dudes.
Incredible work ethic. I like that.
Word.
Yeah. So being around the RZA and just Wu-Tang influence in general, how are you about like kung fu films and karate flicks?
Oh man, that's how me, my dad. You speaking of anime, like me, my dad, and my little brother. That's what we used to do over the summer. We used to watch kung fu films. We used to watch anime. We used to do all that kind of shit. Yeah. So man. Actually, the first time I heard Wu-Tang, you know, the fucking kung fu sounds are like, you know, watching the Boondocks and knowing that like they play guillotine swords at one time. Like it was like the little voice in the back of my head had a soundtrack. Yeah, had a soundtrack. Yeah.
I don't know what it is with black dads and like kung fu movies, but my dad was the same way. Like,
my dad and my uncles.
I literally was like from like the age of 3 on up was like brainwashed with kung fu films. That was this thing.
I have no idea. I feel like someone needs to write a book on like Dragon Ball Z, kung fu, and black folks.
And black folks.
and black folks. Yeah.
I think we like resonate with Asian culture like a lot, like because they resonate with us. You know what I'm saying? We like same like essence of descendants, rather where they came from us. But it's just more so like they really, really like embody our culture very well, and we can embody theirs in turn. You know what I'm saying? Like a real good cross fusion.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of synergy. You know what I mean?
Like, you see Samurai Champloo?
Huh? I do. I love that.
Yeah. So like that's like with Nujabis and stuff, it's kind of like that. Like that's like the perfect synergy right there. Or Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just the whole aesthetic of Toonami. I can't get enough of that until the day it's done. All right. I got. This might be a little. Far left, but I'm just gonna say a phrase to you, and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay, great.
Friendship falling apart.
Yesterday.
It's a YouTube video.
I don't know this video.
That's featuring you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh shit.
Shit. It's a film. It's a short film done by a kid. I think he was like 14 or 15 years old. And it was you and 2 other guys.
I gotta look this thing up. Holy shit.
Yo,
I don't know this thing.
When we're done with the call, definitely look up Friendship Falling Apart.
Friendship Falling. Okay, I'm gonna look.
Yeah, I stumbled upon
that. Oh yeah, dude. With and what's his name was in it? From fucking God damn.
It's okay.
Manchester by the Sea. What's his name? Right? Was he in that? Is that it?
There was 3 guys. It was you, a blonde guy, and like a younger kid.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was 52 Project. 52 Street Project.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
I stumbled on that on accident when I was just like looking at interviews, and I was like, "What's this?"
I didn't even know they posted that on YouTube.
Yeah, I was like, that's definitely him. I was like, let me click that.
Oh man.
Yo, lawyer also is right here.
But it didn't have a ton of hits, So like maybe a lot of
We
people
need
didn't get
all
to see it.
0.1.
I was just curious to know if he knew.
Yeah, Lucas Hedges, he was in that because Lucas Hedges was in 52nd Project when he was a kid, and so he came back to help out, and so we did a film project. Yeah, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, see, I like to bring up like old things that you forget about. I'm a nostalgia kind of person.
I totally blocked that out.
Give
me PTSD.
There's tons of songs that I've done the same to, just like. So like well, for the foreseeable future, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen with this pandemic. But
right.
Speaking best case scenario, everything goes back to normal.
Yeah.
Anything you have planned lined up outside of the Wu-Tang series?
Currently, right now, I'm back to kind of, back on my grind and back trying to figure all that kind of stuff out. And, there's a short film that I just shot that they're in the process of. Which my partner and girlfriend, she directed it, and so we're looking to see what's gonna happen with that in terms of like film festivals and that kind of stuff.
Well, even if it's not connected to acting, like I know you do your fitness thing as well.
Yeah. So they're doing the boxing gym that I work with has an on-demand platform that they're actually going to continue to kind of use. Mm-hmm. So you can get your at-home fitness there. It's called SBX now. So I'm currently doing that and working on my personal training certification, and you know what I mean, and
So you got to get in where you can fit in.
Exactly. Have multiple hustles, as much as I can. Hopefully become essential.
I'm triple essential.
Wait, so you're still in New York?
I'm still in New York, yeah.
How is it over there? I had to leave. I lost everything, so I was like, well.
Oh no! Oh,
yeah,
where are you right now?
I'm in Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Back with my mother upstate.
Oh, wow,
but yeah, man, I lost because the hotel closed, the restaurants closed, and
right.
Yeah.
That's the boat I was in too. It's like, I mean, because even like all my side hustles require some sort of proximity to the person.
Right.
Right now, New York's in an interesting place, right? I think like we are all kind of finding a sense of normalcy in life, so people are moving. It's weird to see people with masks on kind of going about, but this is the best time. Like, this is the best time of the year, and I think New Yorkers are attempting to have some sort of summer. You know what I mean? But
nothing like summer in the city. They said it.
nothing like it. So it's a weird place, but it's New York, so people are trying to make life happen, and
yeah.
New
Yorkers are always going to try and make it go no matter what.
No matter what.
They're in the city.
yeah, no matter what. Even when you're like, go home. Even if you're like,
are you sure we still got a little bit?
You'll be like looking at Prospect Park, and I'm like, yo, motherfuckers, go home. Like, I get it. It's warm, but come on. But yeah. They're trying to make it happen. Yeah.
I see. I foresee a resurgence in the house party, and I'm excited about that. Because I'm like, people going to party regardless.
Yeah, people are gonna party. Yeah, absolutely. When all this is done, it's gonna be madness. I think a lot of babies are gonna start popping out.
Oh yeah, baby booms. Sure.
All this is finished.
Everybody better knock on wood in here. Everybody, all y'all.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more question. Me personally, if you were stranded on a desert island.
Mm-hmm.
Go with this.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
All right, stranded on a desert island, and you got to take one video game and one album. What do you take with you?
That's a good question. Well, to be honest, it'd probably Skyrim.
Oh, you
nice.
God!
even though I played Final Fantasy VII and every inclination of it at least 4 or 5 times, but I imagine I'll get bored eventually.
Right.
But with Skyrim, I can just sit and look at flowers.
Yeah. There's little side things you can do that make the game enjoyable.
That makes the game interesting. And one album. Oh man, that's a good question.
Yeah, I always like to stump people with this one because I never can answer it, so I like to get people to feel the same way I felt.
Like I said,
It's like there's so many good albums. How can I
albums
choose?
and video games.
My answer is always a mixtape.
No, that's shitty. That's so shitty.
See?
No, you know you can't cheat because every time, go ahead.
I got it. I know which one I'll bring. I'll bring Illmatic by Nas.
Oh,
I love it.
okay.
I've listened to that album every stage of my life. In almost every stage of my life. So
That's
the
the perfect album. Transcendent.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, you was about to talk some trash about me. I know.
I was. So we had this one, if it was from a video game or whatever, like the top 5 things that if you could take anything from a video game to save the world or the planet, what would you take? So
yeah.
He was discriminating against me. That's basically he was not letting me get my choices off. If he wasn't letting me have 2 companions, I said I wanted to have Mewtwo and Poison Ivy, so I could psychically link with somebody and do all mental shit. You know what I'm saying? And I can have me a shorty that can heal the earth and teach me how to heal the earth too. So we fix everything.
I expected it to be way more simplified, and then if
I
I listened to the episode, it just went crazy.
He wanted Jeepers Creepers, and we didn't know it was from a video game either until later. He can have that. I can have that.
That's my time. That was good. But yeah, I feel like those are 2 solid options that you chose. I can't dispute them either way.
Yeah.
I love games like Skyrim where you're just doing random stuff on the side.
Right.
If you get a chance, I got an interesting game for you to play. That's very similar to that. It's called Subnautica. Now
Subnautica.
Yes. Now you literally,
I never heard of that game.
I'm glad. I'm glad. It's literally probably one of the best games you never heard of.
Subnautica. Okay.
Yeah. And it's cool because it doesn't tell you what to do. It literally drops you on an alien planet, and you got to figure out how to survive and sustain yourself.
I'm trying to learn how to survive and sustain myself in Brooklyn.
You see, you got a good sample space. You got a good sample space.
You gotta assume some
I don't know. That'll give me so much anxiety. I'm trying to play a game right now where literally you'll get a mission and then the game will it don't even give you a waypoint of where to go. And I'll have so much anxiety about that. To be dropped in the middle of an alien planet, told to survive, bruh, I couldn't do it.
There's literally no right or wrong. You just figure out what you need.
See, I like structure.
Yeah, me too.
Goals. We need to
hold my hand, please. Escort me from point A to point B. I just want,
I can understand. It does get a little bit crazy once you get to the depths, and it's scary. Don't play that.
Right.
If you're gonna play it, don't play that.
I'll check it out. I'll try to check it out.
No. Anything else you guys want to add?
Let me see.
I know you can think of something. Go ahead.
Chill. All right. What you play? You play PlayStation 4 or Xbox?
PlayStation 4.
Good. You chosen the right. You PlayStation. You Sony Mark? Yeah.
I did Sony except for the Xbox 360. It was the only time.
That's okay. 360 is the acceptable Xbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's very true.
See, we all that Sony people agree.
That's very true. Because the PS3 sucked. Let's just be real. It was not.
It was decent.
It's alright.
I mean, after you get what PS2 gave us, and then they gave us that. PS2 gave us love and tenderness.
Yeah, I think at the later half of the PS3, it gave us, the extreme love and tenderness. It gave us Marvel's Capcom 3 and stuff. It gave Black Ops. I don't know if you.
PS3 PS2 was like that high school sweetheart. You know what I mean? And the PS3 was your
baby mom that took away your kids.
or like, or you're like, or like you got really into cocaine and like.
Oh, it's like, yes, I love video games. I must do it.
That was the PS3.
That's definitely what it was.
I really have you played Def Jam 5 for New York?
Play which Def Jam 5? Yeah, I play that game.
Ooh, I had to bring
love
that
that
up.
game.
I forgot because it's the Wu-Tang.
Yeah, true.
I
You
love that
talking about
game.
Final Fantasy? You ever play Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, of course. Except I didn't play this new one because it got too.
It's okay.
It got too weird.
It's
got
okay.
too.
It's a lot. See, my livelihood is invested in Tetsu Nomura, kind of. So that's another issue. But I'm glad that you have played the first Kingdom Hearts.
I played the first.
Yeah.
I played the first two. I played one. No, yeah, I played the first two.
Because the lore get hectic. The lore get like.
Yeah, it really do.
Yeah. And I'd be like, just like opening up a forbidden book and blinding yourself. You know them cyber books that be blinding you.
My brother, my brother tried to explain it to me once. He tried to explain me the mythology, and he got like maybe 5-10 minutes in. I was like, nigga, stop.
It's like always that. It's like that meme I always see of like Always Sunny, where the dude's like. It's like that. God damn it, Christian. This mouse is gonna die.
Boy, is it tangible or Danny Phantom something? What's going on with you?
No, it's just whenever I think about explaining the lore of that, it's just so many levels. It's just
so many. Oh, way too much. Way too
I
much.
love
That's good. You know, you stand in your truth. You stand in your truth. That's the one thing I learned about this pandemic. You stand strong in your truth, my brother.
That's all you got.
That's all you got.
Anybody? Anything else?
It was so good to see you.
It's good to see you, D-Lo. Good to see you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Well, if you have anything you want to plug, anything that any of your social media or anything like that, please.
Yeah.
Opportunity to do that and let everybody know where to find you.
Sure, you can find me on Instagram at Julian Elijah Martinez. And if I start an OnlyFans account, you'll find me on that one too.
We'll make sure we drop all your links and all your everything.
Don't forget that Ninja J. Don't forget at that Ninja J.
Yeah, I do. I have a photography page too. At that Ninja J. Yeah.
I'm on it.
And D-Lo's on it. D-Lo's on it.
Well, we'll make sure that we post the links for all of your socials.
Great, thank you.
The episode on our website as well as on iTunes. So when everything's released, we'll send you an email, let you know what's going on, so you can listen to it yourself.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thank you again. We appreciate you. It's an honor.
Yeah, I really admire what y'all are doing. So keep it up.
I appreciate it.
Keep it up.
Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, y'all. Bye, y'all. Bye, fam.